has Ayub got to say? Yeah. Know what I mean, bro? Annie, I think Rocky was there because there was a photo of him, wasn't there, in the car, I think? But anyway, let's see. Sorry, I was just checking the chat. I'm going to have a look, go into it now. Yeah, how will Dr. Aidley understand Ayub? Anyway, here we go. Oh, I'd love to see this video. It's so annoying that we can't see it because, you know, when someone's talking, you want to, you know, see their face and judge them in that way, don't you? You know, it's hard when you've got it like, you know, third hand like this, just a transcript. It's not the same as seeing someone's body language. Okay, so the coroner says, I understand you're in Tenerife at the time of the Energy Festival. Ayub, yes, bro. Sorry, I couldn't resist. Yes, bro. You know, oh, look, I shouldn't make jokes. It's just my black sense of humour. Sorry. It's you know, you could just imagine him saying yes, bro, can't you? But you know what? He's not a stranger to court. Ayub's been to court. He owned up to what he's done. That was a very interesting interview with him and his friend, another podcaster. Very interesting. They were in prison together in Cardiff. And, you know, I thought Ayub, you know, obviously he talks the way he talks because that's, you know, who he is and where he comes from. But he was very honest. He said he doesn't want to go back to prison. He doesn't want to get involved in things because he doesn't want to go back to prison. He's been to prison. He didn't like it. Anyway, we'll see. So you understand I'm interested in Jay Slater and what he was doing at that time. When did you arrive in Tenerife? First and foremost, I want to send my condolences to Jay and his family. Oh, bless. When did you arrive in Tenerife, please? You know, I do really feel that Ayub has got, it gets painted worse than he is because of his background, because of where he comes from, etc. And, you know, the way he talks and this, that and the other. People judge people on that. But anyway, I don't necessarily think he's a bad person, but we'll see. When did you arrive in Tenerife, please? Around 3 or 4 days before the festival. Did you know Brandon Hodgson? Yes. For a long time? For a little while, to where I could call him a friend. According to the witness we just heard from, they fly in on June the 13th and they meet you on the strip. Does that accord with you? Yes, I recall meeting them a few days before the final night of the Energy Festival. They say he went drinking on the strip on June the 12th. Is that when they would have met you? There was a time when I met them on the strip a couple of days before the final night of the festival. You met up with Jay, Brandon and Lucy in Sugar Reef, and there's a video of you, Brandon and Jay drinking from a bottle. Is that right? I wasn't drinking. I did take a selfie with them though. On the 14th, you didn't go to the festival with them? I didn't go, but I went with my friend Rocky separately. You met Jay on that occasion. Did you get on well with him? I don't really remember seeing him there. So, who was there on the 16th? Me, Brandon, Lucy, Brad, Rocky, a couple of my other mates. You discussed what you're going to do later in the evening. What did you do? We watched the England match. Then we went to a coffee shop afterwards. Me, Jay, Brandon, Rocky, Lucy and Brad went looking for something and it wasn't there. Wonder what? What? Went looking for what? We came back downstairs. Jay and Brad slipped off somewhere. Me and Rocky went to the kebab shop next door, waiting for them. Oh, you can't be a kebab, can you, at the end of the night? Brandon and Lucy said they were going to get ready for the event that night. Then when Jay and Brad came out, we went back to Sugar Reef. Rocky bought a bottle of cognac and it was getting towards night time. I wasn't really a fan of the energy music. It was too hectic for me. So don't forget, Ayub is older than them. He's 10 years older, at least 10 years older than them, isn't he? Me and Rocky chilled with Brad and Jay. We then went off to Papagayo. Me and Rocky then slipped off. There was a couple of performances there. Now, I do think with Ayub as well, because he was in prison for 10 years, from when he was a teenager, he's like a teenager now, isn't he? It's like he stopped in time. So although he's 30, he doesn't act like a 30-year-old, but he lost 10 years of his life. So it's like, I don't know, it's like he's hanging around with teenagers. You know, that's unusual, don't you think, for a 30-year-old, 30-odd-year-old to hang around with teenagers. I mean, it's not unheard of. I'm not saying, you know, at the end of the day, he's not, you know, if he hadn't been to prison for 10 years, maybe by now he'd have settled down and have kids and he'd have a different circle of friends, wouldn't he? But, you know, really, Ayubi sort of never grown up, has he? That's how it feels. They act like kids. You know, that doesn't mean he's a murderer or whatever. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying he's quite childish. I've thought that a few times when I've watched him being interviewed. He talks about his mum a lot and think, you know, it's like, even, you know, it's like he lost all that time. So is he still a little bit childish? You know, why would you be hanging around with 19-year-olds? Okay, that one hasn't updated yet, so I'm going to have a look at the Lancashire Live one. So, yeah, I don't think there's anything. Oh, is so? Oh, look at that. So, Ayub Kazim now giving evidence and is immediately warned by the coroner. So, Mr. Kazim is being warned by the coroner. He attempted to talk about the kids dying in Palestine. First and foremost, I want to send my condolences to Jay's family. Now, notice on the other side, they didn't go on to say the other bit. I want people to also think about the kids that are dying, at which point he was interrupted and told by the coroner, you're not here to make political statements. Now, I agree with that. I agree with Ayub about the kids dying in Palestine. I must admit, sometimes I look at that and think, why is the world just closing its ears to that? It's just never mentioned, is it? It's mentioned a lot on Sky News, but it's like nobody does anything. All these governments, I mean, the Spanish government and I think the UK government now, they've all joined together. You know, it is genocide what's happening in Gaza. And, you know, and I'm not being political or religious. I don't take anyone's side except for innocent children dying. Netanyahu is anyway. Now I'm doing what Ayub was trying to do, but yeah, I agree with the coroner. It's not a place for political statements. Ayub has got a forum. Ayub has got a TikTok account. Any TikTok Ayub puts out, he can talk about. You know, he's going to gain attention, so he can do that on his own social media accounts because people are following him because of maybe the Jay Slater case. But at least it gives him a forum. You know, so he shouldn't have done that. Shouldn't have brought it into, because it is about Jay, this. But I agree with him for his what he says. Just this is not the right place for it. That's all. So he's been told off by Mr. Aidley. Anyway, so I don't think there's anything else different there. Let's go back to the other one. Why has it gone quiet? I'll go back to the chat. See if you're all okay. Hope you're all okay. I think you are. Hi, Warwick. Well, we're going in between two. We're going in between Lancashire Live and Lancashire Telegraph, but there's probably other places that are doing a live. There's probably other newspapers that are doing live updates. It's not videoed, unfortunately, live on there. Yeah, you shouldn't have made the Palestine speech. Hey, Jay. Yeah, we don't talk about other YouTube channels. I've just, sorry. No other YouTube channels to be mentioned, please. And, it's the same people that are doing it all the time. And if you keep on doing it, I'm just going to ban you. So I don't want to keep having to look to see if you're mentioning YouTube channels or not. So next time you mention other YouTube channels, you're just off and that's it. Sorry. I've told you the rules. And if you can't stick to the rules, then best go and watch their channels. Maybe they're doing a live about it. That particular one that was mentioned then makes things up all the time. Total liar. Should get him up in front of a barrister. So seriously now, next person who mentions another creator, I have given a warning. This is my last warning. I don't mention other YouTube channels on my channel. That's one of the rules. If you can't stick by that rule, all my regular chatters don't seem to have a problem with it. But if you're just on here for this and you just want trying to promote other YouTube channels for your own ends, you're just going to get banned the very next time. So I'm just telling you that now. Yeah, Joanne, this is what we're trying to work out. Brad said that he left the Airbnb because he just wanted to go home. But I mean, we haven't really had an answer for that. Hi, Chrissy. Right, have we had here we go. We've had a little update. Sorry, I'm just going through. I just want to check there's no other policies. This is what I mean. I want to just do my stream. I don't want to be having to check if people mention other streams. Because, well, there is no other stream actually. So, Okay. Right, I've missed a little bit. So where are we going? So then he said at 1:22, we met some people over there, a group from Nottingham. We went back to the strip. While we were there, Brandon told me to come down to Papagayo. I thought I'd check it out. They tried to charge me. Oh, they tried to charge us £80 to get in. And I thought, I'm not paying that for music I don't like. So I told Brandon I was going to give it a miss. You talk about Jay arriving outside Sugar Reef. What was he doing? Everyone was doing balloons. Now, maybe there's someone in the chat can. What is a balloon? Everyone was doing balloons. Maybe someone in the chat can let me know what a balloon is because I have got absolutely no idea. I've got absolutely no idea what a balloon. Oh, laughing gas. Oh God. Why? Why? Well, isn't cocaine, ketamine, alcohol, and ecstasy enough? Sort of like, oh yeah, I'll try a bit of all that. Oh, I think I need a bit of laughing gas as well. Sorry, just don't get this. I understand people drinking. I understand people even taking drugs, but what a combination! Why? Can't you just go out and enjoy yourself with alcohol like everybody else does? What do you need laughing? Do you need laughing gas to laugh? Sorry, I'm trying not to be judgmental, but for God's sake, that's like alcohol, ketamine, cocaine, ecstasy, and laughing gas. It's a lot, isn't it? You're lucky to survive, these kids. God, anyway, never mind. At least they're not on heroin, I suppose. So, where are we? So they were all doing balloons. What was Jay's state like? He was on the buzz, head bopping. Sorry, I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because I'm just imagining Ayub saying this. And Dr. Aidley is sort of really posh, isn't he? And thinking, what? And like somebody said earlier, he needed an interpreter, doesn't he? He needs an interpreter. I would. Bless him. He was happy, he was coherent. And you say you took him for a chicken burger. Why was that? I bought stuff for the group. Do you know if Jay had any money on him or not? I don't know for sure. Oh, so he bought him a chicken burger. Let's have a look where it says on Lancashire Live for a minute. So yeah, Ayub says Jay arrived outside Sugar Reef and was inhaling nitrous oxide gas from a balloon. Do you know, poor Jay's mum. I'm sorry, as a mum. Now listen, I know my son's no angel. I'm sure he's probably taken all these things at some point in his life. Because this is a different world now. When I was young, we all drank too much and maybe smoked a little bit of marijuana, but it wasn't this crap that they all smoke now, this skunk. It was the little sort of oxo cube type thing, but I never liked it. So luckily for me, I never got addicted to it. But, I did drink a lot, so that was just the way it was. But it was much simpler times. I mean, bloody hell. I'm going to ask my son later if he won't tell me, of course, if he's ever, he probably will actually, because he's quite honest if I ask him a direct question. He wouldn't volunteer the information, but if I ask him directly, I'm sure he'd tell me, and maybe he has, I don't know. If it's like a sort of drug of the moment, I don't know. But it's a lot on top of everything else, isn't it? I just don't understand why you would need all that. How far out your head do you want to be? So what I'm saying is my sympathies go out to Debbie, because hearing this will not be easy. Because, as I say, when your child, be it a boy, girl, when they're like a young adult, as soon as they get out of your control, as soon as they're past 13, 14, 15, their friends get more important. They close the door behind them, you have no clue. And they tell you what, you might think you have a clue what they're doing. Oh, my Johnny would never do that. Or, my Jenny would never do that. You have no idea what they're doing when they leave your house, who they're meeting, what they're taking, if they're even, what they're up to. Are they going to come back pregnant if it's a girl? Or if it's a boy, is he going to come back and tell you he's got some girl pregnant? Or you just don't know, and you can think you know, but you don't know. And it doesn't matter. I don't care what anyone says. What teenagers and above, adults, young adults, what they get up to. You think life will get easier with kids as they get older, and it'll be better when they're older, and it is so much harder. Because you have no clue what they're up to. You can't control it. You don't know what danger they're in. They get into cars with people that are drunk, or they drive when they're drunk, or they get run over by someone who's drunk. They get into fights, they get stabbed, they get bottled. There's so many, being a young person, when they're at that stage of going out and everything, it's a very dangerous time, I think. And of course, Ayub, he's older, but he's had this gap in his life, hasn't he? So he's really just like a teenager. So why did On the Buzz Jay go back from the Airbnb after getting a chicken burger from Magic Mike's? It's like something off a film, isn't it? Jay was on the buzz, Ayub says, when asked what his behaviour was like. Head bopping, chilled, happy, Ayub says. He was coherent. Ayub says he took Jay for a chicken burger. We all got food, he says. And Ayub is asked if Jay had any money on him, and he says, vaguely, I might have heard him saying I've run out of dough, but I don't know 1,000,000%. I didn't check his pocket. So he just makes me laugh. I know it's not funny, but he does make me laugh. Ayub is asked why Jay ended up back at his Airbnb. He asked, Ayub says. From further things I've heard, he must have thought they were going to stay up. He says, can I come with you guys? These were his exact words. Ayub says he told Jay, bearing in mind I live a bit far away, but I'll drop you off in the morning if you want. That's what Ayub says. Okay, we haven't got another update yet on the other one. So, what do you think? What do you all think? I know you're all saying what you think. Oh, sorry, Annie. I know your boys are it was true though, Annie. But you know what? You can't worry about it because nothing you can do. Hi, Devon. There's nothing you can do. They've got to. I think you've only really got to think about what you were like when you were younger. Maybe you didn't even feel like you were doing anything too bad, but you know, as I say, when I look back now, I just think, God, my poor parents. Oh, it's banned in the UK, is it? The laughing gas? God. You know, I just think, though, it does sort of, you know, he was off his head. I mean, he was off his head. You can't deny it. So, you know, he's made that decision. Has he just made it, oh, I'm going to walk home, you know, like you do. I walked home, I've said this on another stream, and I was in Blackpool once visiting my friend who was at university or Polytechnic in Blackpool, at Blackpool Polytechnic, and we went off to a student party. I was absolutely off. I don't know, it's the first time that I'd ever been there. I was only there one night, or maybe two. It was a weekend probably. And we went off to this party, like a student party, and I got bored because I didn't know anybody else. I only knew my friend, and they were all her friends from Polytechnic, and they were all talking about. I mean, when I say I got bored, I was there for hours. I was absolutely paralytic, and I wanted to go home, but she didn't want to go home. In fact, I can't even remember where she was. She might have copped off with something, or, you know, she could have been anywhere. But so I just thought, oh, I'm going home. You know, forgetting that I'm in Blackpool at a place where, you know, this is maybe the first night that I've been there or the second night. And I'm going to go off and try and find this student house where she lived. Well, actually, I must have spoke to her because she gave me the key. She said, I'm not going home, but you go if you want. And I just walked out into the night at 2-3 o'clock in the morning, aiming for Blackpool Tower, because I knew this house. It was a student house. I knew it was near Blackpool Tower, so I could see Blackpool Tower in the distance. I just thought, aim towards Blackpool Tower. Just aim towards Blackpool Tower. And by some miracle, and I mean, it was a miracle, I found my way home. It was about an hour's walk. Found my way, so I found this place. I don't know how I found it. I don't know how I didn't get abducted or murdered on the way. I was about 19 years old, similar age to Jay. It's the things you do. And I was drunk, but I haven't been taking drugs and laughing gas. Found my way to the house and I was fine, but I still wouldn't think about now. How did I didn't even know the address. Didn't even know the address. I just thought aim towards Blackpool Tower somewhere. And when I get near Blackpool Tower, I knew the way from there. Anyway. So this is what people do. Right. Let's go back to, and now Ayub says Jay did not steal the watch. So it's like you pay your money and you take your choice. Somebody's lying. Somebody is lying. Now, it could be Ayub. It might not be Ayub. It might be one of the others that said he'd taken a watch. So Ayub is saying he did not steal the watch. Who do you believe? Has anyone actually seen the text where supposedly Jay said he took the watch? So Ayub is now talking about the watch. He says there was a Romanian-looking guy who was selling fake watches. Well, there probably was. There was loads of them, isn't there, in Spain and that, holiday places. The man tried selling a watch to Ayub, and he said, nah, I don't want that, it's fake. Then he tried, this is all new, isn't it? We haven't heard this before. Then he tried selling it to Jay. Ayub is very clear on the next point. One thing I can say is that Jay didn't steal no watch, he says with emphasis. And to recap, Ayub Kasim is currently giving evidence via video link from a foreign country. Is he in Palestine? Maybe he's in Gaza fighting for the Palestinians. And I'm only saying that because earlier he started to try and bring in a political point. So he's obviously a Muslim, isn't he? So he's going to support the people in Gaza. But I'm not a Muslim, but I still support the people in Gaza. I don't support Hamas, of course, but I certainly do not support Israel. We have not been told exactly where he is. Strange, isn't it? Where is he? Is he in Dubai? Is he in Tenerife? Ayub, who speaks with a southern accent. A southern accent. Bloody hell, you could say that. A little bit of a southern accent, eh? You know what I mean? Is wearing a white Ralph Lauren shirt. Do you think any photos will come out ever of it? Oh, God, it's so frustrating not being able to see these witnesses. So there you go. You've got that right from Ayub's mouth. He did not steal a watch. So let's remember, Brad said, ask Brandon about the watch. He knows more about the watch. Brad said he didn't take any notice of what Jay said about a watch, even though he did say that Jay said, I've just took a watch. Where's the truth? Where is the truth? What do you think? Do you think he took a watch? Do you think this watch is real or not? What do you reckon? Yeah, Annie, it is. I feel sorry for Debbie as well, because as we're mothers, we feel for the mothers, for Debbie, because you think if that was your son and you were trying to find out exactly what happened and you can't get any clarity because they're all saying different things. You know, what is it here? You know, did he steal the watch or didn't he? Let's see what the Telegraph have got to say about this. All right, so now, Annie, what you were saying about Rocky not thinking he was there, he definitely was there, because there was a photo of him in the back of the car, wasn't he? So going back to the Lancashire Telegraph, this is what they say. How did it come that he ended up at your Airbnb? He asked to come with us. Jay asked to come with you? Yes, his exact words were, "Can I come with you guys?" Did he know where you lived? Yeah, most of them were giving me stick for how far out it is. I told him how far away it was. Did you agree to take him? Yes, I said I'd drop him off in the morning if he wanted. I waited around for a bit, waiting for my mate to finish work. Do you know anything about a watch? Yeah, I do. Could you tell me, please? And he explains how there are often people selling things like fake watches along the strip. Do you know if Jay acquired this watch at any point? I can't say for sure, but one thing I can say is that Jay did not steal a watch. Did you ever see Jay with the watch at all? No. So, so basically, the only person is saying that Jay stole the watch is Brandon, isn't he? So Brad's saying, ask Brandon, because I don't know anything about any watch. Ayub's saying there isn't a watch. So it's only Brandon, isn't it, that's saying that he did steal a watch? And have we actually got that message to confirm that he did say that? Who sat where in the car? Rocky sat in the front, Jay sat in the back, and I was driving. Do you know what time you left? Between 5 and 6. You drove up the coast road. Did you stop en route at all? Before you go up the road to Masca, there's a cafe that was still up. We got a couple of drinks and then we went up the mountain road. Did you know if Jay was sending any posts into social media? And he says, I could see the camera flashing in my rear view mirror. Now, another thing I just want to say, Spain, 1:37, sorry, not 1:37, 5, 6 in the morning is nothing. My son's been out on a Friday and not come home till Sunday and not slept for 2 nights. And that's not being on holiday. That's just in my little village. We live in a little village. That is not unusual in Spain, to be out all night. Spanish people live at night. They don't go out till 11 o'clock at night. So it'd be common for them to be out all night and get in at 6, 7, 8 in the morning. When I was younger and living in Spain, I've done it many times. I can't remember the last time I did it, but I would do it again. It's just a night, especially, in the summer and in holiday areas. So look at that. Even in a place like Masca, there was a cafe that was still open. Even in my little village, there'll be places and the thing is, when some close, so you've got the all-night ones that are open all night, and maybe they'll close at 5, 6 in the morning, but then you've got the early morning ones opening up. They're practically 24 hours. There's bars, cafes, places you can buy alcohol or whatever, and there are no restrictions. So it's not like you can't buy alcohol after midnight or after 2. You can buy alcohol if there's a place open, if it's a shop, if it's a cafe or a bar, whatever it is, you'll be able to buy alcohol. See, the Guardia in there every morning having their little snifters with their coffees as they start their shifts. It's common. Spain is a different culture. So I think it's important not to think, oh God, that was too late to go out somewhere. That's what it's not. No time is too late in Spain. Wherever you are. So we're now being shown a Snapchat video taken by Jay from the back of the car while Ayub is driving. And the caption says, I just took a 10k rollie of some CUNT with this Marley kid off to get 10 quid for it now. Ha ha, off my undies. Don't you think that's a jokey text? To me, I don't see why you would take that seriously. But anyway, did you ever see Jay with a watch he was able to sell? No. When I saw him talking to the guy on the strip, I told him they would be fake and to leave it. And one thing I know for sure is Jay did not steal. a watch. So that's the message supposedly on the Snapchat video. Just took a 12k rollie off some cunt with this Marley kid. Off to get 10 quid for it now. Ha ha, off my undies. What do you think? Do you think that's just a jokey text? I mean, don't forget, Jay was off his undies, of course. You know, he was totally out of it. So what do you think? Do you think that was really a watch? Well, I don't know, Kylie, but that's what he's saying there. What do you think? This is a shame because there's no clarity, is there? You know, Debbie needs clarity and Warren. But how can there ever be, if now he's saying there wasn't a watch and now people in the chat are saying he did say there was a watch. So who's telling the truth? I think by the end of covering this case, I'm going to need some laughing gas and some of them drugs because it's like there's nothing, you know, it's not made anything clear, has it? Anyway, so the coroner says you weren't involved in taking a watch from anyone else? No. Do you have an explanation as to why this was posted? No. He could be boasting to his friends. You can tell he's on the buzz. It could be that when we were all younger, we might over-exaggerate. And then the coroner says, but as far as you're concerned, none of that is accurate. And Ayub says, no, 100%. I don't know. So we're now seeing another social media post from Jay sent on Snapchat. And the caption reads, yes, cuz ended up getting thrown out of there. Me with 2 Marley kids just took an AP of some cunt on way to sell it for 10 quid. Again, I just want to say I feel very sorry for Debbie having to see these messages because evidently he sent them and it's not nice to think your son would have sent these messages. Ayub says, I know the make of the watch, but I just don't know where he got that from. At this point, he's just firing off messages. I've had many people message me in the early hours of the morning, and then when I call them later on, they don't know what they were doing. I think that's true. The other thing, I do think that, you know, I'm not trying to defend Ayub or defend anybody. I just like to know what the truth is. But I think we must remember what the coroner said, that Ayub is out of the country and he couldn't be forced to give testimony. He's voluntarily giving testimony, even though he couldn't be forced to do that because he's actually out of the country. But we don't know which country he's in. Has he left the country permanently? Is he living abroad now? Or is he on one of these many holidays? Because he's backwards and forwards, isn't he, to these places? That's, you know, it's just getting, I think, you know, apart from clarifying everything, I think it's just getting curiouser and curiouser, isn't it? Let's go back to Lanx Live and see what they're saying. So they talk about that message again. They've got a couple of drinks from the shop. Jay bought a Coca-Cola. And then it just talks about that video that he sent saying just took a 12k rollie off some cunt, etc. Ayub confirms that this Somali kid referred to himself. Ayub confirms he is of Somalian heritage. And he says again, one thing I'm sure about is Jay didn't steal a watch. And he said what we read off the other one. 100% I didn't see a watch being taken. Maybe he was just bigging himself up to his pals. In another snapshot post, Jay writes the caption, yes, cuz ended up getting thrown out of there with me with two Mali kids, just took an AP off some cunt, etc. And in an earlier, now, yeah, this is important because earlier he said it was a Rolex. Now he's saying it's an AP, an Audemars Piguet or whatever, an expensive make of watch. You know, save your money, buy a car, buy something proper. Why would you spend all that money on a watch? Beyond me. It's beyond me. It's just a watch. You know, get a Timex. It tells the time just the same. But yeah, so he's called it a Rolex in one, and now he's calling an AP. That would suggest to me that he's just talking shite, to be honest. He's just off his head and he's just sending messages. Otherwise, how can it go? I mean, there's a big difference between a Rolex and an AP, you know, in the words themselves. So if he's, you know, why would he change it from a Rolex to an MP? It probably is all a load of crap, personally. Anyway, the court has just been shown a picture taken by Ayub on his phone after he pulled up outside the Airbnb. And the photo, which shows Rocky fast asleep in the passenger seat with his head at an almost 90-degree angle, Jay can be seen in the back seat smiling. Ayub also, I've seen these videos before, Ayub also took a short video clip of Rocky asleep in the car, and both Ayub and Jay can be heard laughing in the background. So personally, I think definitely Rocky was there, definitely. And I think he fell asleep in the car, and then he probably got in the house and just stumbled to bed. I think the thing is, Jay was still, to me, this is what I think, Jay was still buzzing. And then Rocky was out of it and he just probably went in straight to bed. Same with Ayub, just went to bed, and Jay was still buzzing. And he couldn't sleep. Ayub is now describing the last time he saw Jay. He asked for a charger. I said, go and get it in Rocky's room. He has gone in there and grabbed the charger from the side of his bed and stuck it in the kitchen. He started charging it in the kitchen. I ran upstairs, I grabbed him a blanket. I went past the bathroom and I grabbed him a towel as well. I said, that's you in it. He asked for a fag and I left my deck downstairs. I said goodnight and went upstairs. That's when he says he last saw Jay, isn't it? What do you think of that? What do we think? Hi, Jackie. Yeah, Joanne, I know. I'm not defending him, Mickey. I'm just saying, well, what do you think happened then? You know, honestly, I'm not defending anyone. I'd just like to know what really happened. What do you think happened? Be interesting to see when the barrister starts asking him questions, won't it? Be interesting then. Maybe he is just covering his own backside. I don't know, because I was not there. So I have absolutely no idea. Hi, Trina. Yeah, thinking of his family. I don't know what happened. I literally don't know. What do people think happened then? Don't know. Just don't know. I feel sorry for Debbie and Warren and Zach, because I don't think this is going to. Well, we'll see what happens when the barrister comes out and cross examines. I mean, it's not a trial, of course. It's not a trial. See what the questions the barrister asks him. But if this is not true, what is the truth then? What did happen? And why did Jay call it a Rolex and then an AP? Was he just off his head, like, sending out crazy videos? I don't know. So for the ones of you that are out there that obviously can see have got a downer on Ayub, which is fair enough, then what do you think happened? What happened? What do you think happened? What do you think is the reason that Jay went back? If you don't agree with Ayub's version of it, do you agree with Brad's version of it, or is he lying as well? Are they all lying? It's a big conspiracy. Yeah, no, anyone can give whatever theory they think, but what's the reason for thinking it? If you don't think that Jay made it to the Airbnb, what happened to him then? This is my question. Because one thing we do know, he was found in the ravine. So how did he get in the ravine? And the search people said there's no way anyone could have taken him there. Carried a body there and dropped it in the ravine. So, I'm just looking for an answer. But cover up for what? People saying, a lot of people think it's cover up, but cover up for what? I don't know. You think that Jay was murdered? No. I don't believe the boat thing. No. Right. So they're on a break until this afternoon. So while they're on a break, I'm probably going to go off and get some lunch, but I'm not going to finish the stream. So I'm going to keep an eye on the stream. I'm going to put a video on. I'm going to look for a video from my channel from the early days. And so you can all chat and you can all give your theories, because honestly, I appreciate everyone's theory. I think it's not clear what happened to Jay. So, I suppose in a lot of ways, anyone's theory is as good as anybody else's. But there has to be some evidence. If people think he disappeared on a boat or this, that, or the other, where's the evidence for that? There is no evidence. That's or if you think there is evidence, if you can give me, and I mean evidence, not just, they said it on this YouTube channel, so it must be true. I mean proper evidence. But don't forget about the Spanish police. They've made an investigation. Then you'd have to say that they're in this whole cover-up as well. I don't agree with that either. There you go. I'm here. I'm back. Hey presto, I've had a quick change. Oh, Annie. Thank you, Annie. Let me just put thank you up there. So he's back giving his evidence, and we're going to look at that in a minute. I just want to say thank you to Annie, very kind supporter of this channel. Thank you so much. For the Ko-fi, thank you. Right, so what's he said now, Ayub? Right, Posting to his friends, we did that, we had lunch. I don't think I read this one. Oh yeah, did. So he said that he gave him a blanket, didn't he, with a flowery pattern. Yeah. Oh, so we're not back yet? No. Oh, come on, when are we getting back? Inquest on a break till this afternoon. Anyway, never mind, I can just chat to you guys, but it's gonna... Said 10 minutes, but it's been more than 10 minutes, hasn't it? Never mind. Well, Canny, you say that, but do you live in Spain? How do you even know that? But, you know, there probably some of them are. Some Spanish police probably are corrupt. Because they're just people like everybody else. But I've lived in Spain for 25 years. And I know which police I prefer, from British police or Spanish police. And people who make comments like that normally don't like the British police either. It's easy to blame the police for everything, isn't it? Easy. And sometimes it is the police's fault, but, you know, I don't agree with you. I don't think they are so corrupt. Anyway, I'm not even going to get into that argument, but yeah, ACW is a long-term follower from the Nicola Bulley case. So obviously a lot of my followers started following me from the Nicola Bulley case, didn't they? And since then, you know, we cover all sorts of cases. There are cases like Nicola Bulley, like Jay Slater. It's funny, isn't it, how some cases attract the most attention and the most interest and the most conspiracy theories. I mean, I cover cases from all over the world. We've just been covering the mushroom murder trial. Erin Patterson just got found guilty of poisoning her relatives with mushrooms, with toxic mushrooms. We followed the Madeleine Soto case. That's just sort of resolved, I suppose, empty justice. For Madeleine, we followed the Idaho 4 case. I still want to, because we've just heard all the victim impact statements. God, that Brian Koberger, he's one creepy guy. I mean, he's like a reptile, isn't he? He's like just horrible. Anyway, I will be doing a video about that. But of course, we're all about Jay Slater. I covered from the beginning. Jay's from my part of the world. Hi, Moonbeam. Jay Slater, I got interested in it right from the beginning when he first disappeared, because it was a young lad from my part of the world who was in Spain when he disappeared, and that's where I live in Spain. I've lived here for over 25 years. So, you know, it immediately caught my interest. And then, of course, as days went on and Jay wasn't found, it got more and more mysterious, didn't it? And turned into one of those sort of cases. I don't know if there'll ever be a resolution to this case, because there's so many different people with different views. And yeah, I agree with you, Julie. The coroner just wants this inquest done, but he wanted to be a part of it, didn't he? You know, it's funny, isn't it? Because he's retiring. So for those who don't know, who've come onto the stream later, the coroner that is looking after this case is James Aidley, the same coroner that was in charge of the Nicola Bulley case. But the thing is, he's supposed to be retired. And this inquest was supposed to be, this inquest was supposed to be the second, because it was originally, wasn't it, in May, and then the witnesses didn't turn up, etc. So Debbie asked for it to be later, you know, that the witnesses should be made to answer questions. And but it was supposed to be September, but it's ended up being now, before James Aidley retires properly. I think he just wants to be a part of it because it's high profile case, I think. But anyway, I don't know. So Mr. Aidley so far has been asking leading questions. You can, if you had money to put a bet on it, and if you could find someone to give you odds for it, you could put your money on the fact this is going to be an accidental death. That's what the verdict's going to be. Now, he might surprise me and it might end up being an open verdict. But if he made Nicola Bulley's case an accidental death verdict and there was no proof whatsoever of accident, at least there is some proof of accident here. You know, he was off his face. He was wandering around in a very dangerous area. It's going to be an accidental death verdict. It's going to be that or open verdicts. I suppose that's the only two possibilities, really, isn't it? So yeah, Brandon's not here today, ACW. But didn't Brandon speak in the first thing? Because it wasn't it Brandon who said that Jay had stolen the watch? Now so just a little recap of what's happened so far. If you thought you were confused before, you're going to be even more confused now. So now we've got Brad saying, ask Brandon, I don't know about the watch, so ask Brandon. We've got Ayubs saying, no, definitely no watch was stolen. We've even got the two messages from Jay that one said it was a Rolex and the other one said it was that other posh watch, AP or whatever it's called. Josh. Oh, that was Josh, was it, Mickey? Sorry. And I don't know where Brandon is. He hasn't appeared at all, has he? So, I feel more confused now than I did before this started because they're all saying different things. I mean, at the end of the day, really, all we know for sure is Jay is dead, bless him. And I think he did fall. But the question is, why was he there? Why did he run off? That's what Debbie probably wants to know. So just to remind people, Debbie, Jay's mum, is there and she's taken a barrister with her. And she's also got with her partner, her current partner, and her film crew from the documentary that they're making about Jay. So, yeah. Hi, Tammy. Yeah, I agree, Annie. Nothing any clearer so far. So my head hurts. When this finishes, I'm going to have to go and lie down in a dark room, I think. Anyway, come on. Where's, they said 10 minutes. Inquest about to resume. So what we'll be hearing this afternoon, according to the Lancashire Live, we'll be hearing the remainder of Ayub Kasim's evidence, and then from Jay's friend Lucy Law, who is giving evidence via video link. God, my voice is going now. Oh, and they'll also be hearing from Lancashire Constabulary digital analyst Nick Spence. Oh, it says the inquest could finish by the end of today, but time has been allowed for the hearing to continue tomorrow if needed. So everyone will be waiting for Lucy's evidence. And let's just to remind people that the coroner said that Lucy will not be appearing due to her condition. And we don't know what that, he didn't elaborate on that. As far as I know, we don't know what condition it is. What condition? Is she pregnant? Has she got mental health problems? Why is Lucy, I mean, she's appearing, but she's appearing by video link due to her condition. That was his exact words. What does he mean by that, I wonder? What is her condition? Oh, right. I'll be 2 ticks. Just got to sort the dogs out, so. Right, are we there yet? Oh, it's getting hotter and hotter. I'm just going to bring the blinds down. As the day goes on, the sun just gets hotter and hotter. Just have to make sure all the blinds down. Okay, what's that saying? Recap of evidence from this morning. Ayub Kasim, one of the men who had rented the Airbnb in Masca where Jay was last seen alive, has been giving evidence via video link from a foreign country. Now, this is mysterious, isn't it? Why they're just not saying which country? Where is he? So he's giving evidence on a video link from a foreign country. Ayub has repeatedly insisted that Jay had not stolen a watch and had maybe told his friends as he had an exaggeration. And Brad, one of Jay's friends, said that he and Jay had perhaps gone a bit too far with their drinking and taking drugs, as it was their first boys' holiday. I mean, they definitely did go too far. I mean, they'd been drinking, they'd taken ecstasy, they'd taken ketamine, cocaine, and laughing gas. I mean, there's only heroin left, really, isn't there? What else is left? Are there any other things they might have been able to take? You know, they definitely did go too far, but young people do go too far. But they should have all stick together. You know, they should have an unwritten rule. You know, go out together, you go home together. You know, you don't leave people. But then did they leave him or he went himself? You know, I don't know. I don't know, Kylie. She might have her back to the camera. Yeah, she did that weird interview, didn't she, Lucy? Where she had her back to the camera. It's like she didn't want anyone to see her. It was strange. Wasn't it? It was odd. See, while we're waiting, if I can find that, actually. No, things I don't know, Lucy, so I have no idea. Literally got no idea if, you know, the true circumstances. Let's have a look at this. Let's just have a quick look at this. This is a Sun Tik-Tok video where apparently she discusses the case. Hang on. Right, let's just watch this. So this is Lucy, isn't it? I'll just put it back to the beginning.
Has been tracked down, with her currently on holiday. The missing witness in the inquest into Jay Slater's death has finally been tracked down, with her currently on holiday in Tenerife, where Jay died. Jay travelled to Tenerife to attend a music festival with Lucy Law and another pal, with Lucy the last person to speak to Jay when he called her saying he was lost and dehydrated. The inquest into Jay's death has been dramatically paused by police after they were unable to contact Lucy and other important witnesses. Lucy's family have now spoken out and said they had no idea Jay's inquest was even being held today, and said they weren't aware Lucy was due in court. Another witness police can't track down is Kasim, a convicted leader of a drugs gang who rented the Airbnb that Jay visited alone after the festival, with Jay's last snapshot from the door of the apartment before he attempted to walk back to his hotel.
What? They said it was Lucy's interview. It wasn't Lucy. You know, they bloody clickbaiting. I can't stand it. Where is Lucy's interview? Anyway, never mind. I'll try and find it in a minute. Ah, the coroner's come back in. Thank God for that. Let's have a look. I'll put it back on there. Yeah, I was trying to find that interview that Lucy made where she had her back to the camera. It was very odd. The coroner is back in and we're ready to restart. Thank God for that. Let's see if I can find that Lucy interview. That's right. She said that he'd cut his leg on a cactus, didn't she? I'd forgotten about that. Right, I found an interview, but I think I can't see her on it. But let's watch this anyway.
I'd gone home from the NRG festival a little bit earlier than everybody else because I was tired. So I'd gone home alone back to my apartment, and then I woke up to a phone call at like 8:30 in the morning, around 8:30, from Jay saying that I'd gone up to the mountains, that his phone was on 1%, so it was like about to die. He didn't know where he was. He needed a drink. That he'd cut all his leg on like a cactus, and that he had no idea where we were. So I said to him, like, if you're ever going to listen to anything I'm going to say, like, you need to listen now. You need to go back to wherever you've just come from before your phone dies, and I'll come and pick you up from there. Like, you need to go back there. He said to me, I can't go back there. I don't know where it is. So I just said, send me like a location. So he sent over a screenshot of his last location. So I went straight. The first thing I did when the phone had cut off was I rang the police. So I'd rang 911 and spoken to the people there, and they told me that they'd sent a helicopter out. But later on, I'd spoken to somebody who lived up in the mountains, and they'd said they hadn't heard any helicopters, which obviously if there was a helicopter out, they definitely would have heard it. So I think they just totally fobbed me off with that. I got taxied down to the closest police station. I was literally there within the hour of the phone call. So I'd gone in, I said, I really need to report somebody missing. But I said, it's not like they're just missing around here, like he's missing in a very like abandoned place. There's nothing up there, it's just mountains. She gave me a piece of paper that said that I needed to go online, fill in a form, and then within 48 hours I'd receive a code, and I'd bring the code back to the police station. So we'd come up, there was literally no sign of him anywhere. Like we drove around all day. There was literally nothing, no sign of him. I went into a restaurant that was halfway up on the viewpoint.
And is that where you are now, Lucy? You're staying at the coast, but you're now up in the mountains where you think Jay was.
I've literally not slept at all since I've got that phone call at 8 o'clock.
We all hope that the search continues and Jay is found safe and sound. But the final question is, what is he like? What's he like at home? Is he sensible, or is he a bit more of a risk taker? What's Jay like?
No, he's not a risk taker at all. That he wouldn't do anything. Like, I don't know why. I can't understand why he would come out of the house and then decide that he was going to walk. I don't know why he would do that. And then I think he set off walking with back to it and not realised how far the walk actually is. I've seen so many people up here, and I've asked every single one if they've seen him, and nobody's seen him. And this is what I find weird, because if he'd have seen somebody or a car or a person, he would have either flagged down the car.
Yeah.
He would have said to someone like that he needs a phone to contact someone. And also, he would never have his mum worrying like this. He would never have his family worrying like this. He would never have us worrying like this. Like, if he saw someone, the first thing he would do is say, "I need to ring my mum." Like, I know that for a fact. So I've never ever in my life been so worried at all.
So yeah, that was a different interview with Sky News where she's over the phone by the sandwich. Does sound really worried about him. Again, everyone's got their views about Lucy. I don't really know much about Lucy, so I can't say I've got any strong views. I'll be interesting, won't it, to see what she has to say at this inquest. So they've started back again. So let's read the first. Let's see. I think in the early days, do you remember? I remember when I was reporting on this right in the beginning, there was definitely the feeling that Jay would be found. I thought he'd probably had an accident, but they would find him. But of course, that wasn't to be, was it? So, yeah, I don't know what to think about Lucy. But anyway, be interesting to see what she says today. So it started back again. What happened next at the Airbnb property? Ayub is talking about what happened when he went to bed. He says that he didn't go to sleep as soon as your head hits the pillow, but he eventually fell asleep. He woke up to a buzzing sound coming from the door. Ayub explains that as he had parked his car in front of a small van, blocking it in, he thought this would be who was at his door. I only had an hour of sleep. I went downstairs and I saw Jay standing there, he says. Ayub went to answer the door and a woman with two men, one of which was holding a wheelbarrow, directed him to where he could park his car without blocking them in. I walked over and apologised. Jay was talking to the woman. I'm just wondering how Jay was talking to the woman. Did she speak English then? Ayub is saying that Jay was probably still awake because he was still on things and buzzing. Now, I don't know much about drugs because fortunately for me, I don't take them, but I do know people who do take them. And they can't go to sleep. This is, I think, with Jay, he'd taken that much stuff. It wasn't compos mentis, but he didn't feel like going to sleep, did he? Because he'd taken so much. So those things stop you from going to sleep unless you take a sleeping pill or smoke a bit of cannabis, he says. So, yeah, I think Jay probably was wide awake, wasn't he? But not compos mentis. Strange, really, isn't it? It's like being awake but not quite with it, but you can't sleep. I haven't started back on that one yet, on the other one. So we see, just waiting for the updates. I'm still looking for that Lucy interview where she's got her back to the camera. Let's have a look. Is this it? Oh, I can't find it. Oh, I might have found it. Maybe. Have I found it? Yeah, this was the interview, and it's strange because she's got her back to the camera. Why? Odd.
If you look around, you can literally see it's not safe for anybody to have been here without any of the supplies that you need. He's not got any hiking stuff. He's not got any sun cream. Like, he's not got his phone. He's in like severe danger. And I just feel like I've been up here every single day since that's happened. I've been walking around trying to find him, like literally doing everything that I possibly can. And in the full time I've been up here, I haven't seen one helicopter, which I feel like is very, very important, because the helicopters will be able to see things like, yes, they've had drones up here. Yes, they have had dogs. However, they haven't actually had a scent from anything of Jay's. So I know.
Now, the only time I think there's only once that I can ever particularly remember seeing someone being interviewed like that from the back. And it was a stepmother over in America that had actually murdered her stepson. And she was being interviewed from the back like that. And you know, it's really unusual, isn't it? Because why would you? Maybe she just didn't want her face on camera. You know, maybe she didn't have her makeup on, or, you know, who knows? I mean, it's her prerogative to decide whether she gets her face shown on camera. Maybe because there was already a lot of social media hate even there in the early days, I remember. So maybe that's why, but it just seemed odd.
That the dogs will be able to sniff out any humans, but obviously there's humans down there looking for Jay, and I think that could be misleading for them. Like, I feel like they definitely need to get a scent from Jay. Like, with the time I've spoke to them, I've said you need to get a scent, like, and they've like sort of disregarded that. You look around, you can literally see it's not safe for anybody to have been here without any of the supplies that you need. He's not got any hiking stuff. He's not got any sun cream. Like, he's not got his phone. He's in like severe danger. And I just feel like I've been up here every single day since that's happened. I've been walking around trying to find him, like literally doing everything that I possibly can. And in the full time I've been up here, I haven't seen one helicopter, which I feel like is very, very important, because the helicopters will be able to see things like, yes, they've had drones up here. Yes, they have had dogs. However, they haven't actually had a scent from anything of Jay's. So I know that the dogs will be able to sniff out any humans, but obviously there's humans down there looking for Jay, and I think that could be misleading for them. Like, I feel like they definitely need to get a scent from Jay. Like, with the time I've spoke to them, I've said you need to get a scent, like, and they've like sort of disregarded that.
Yeah. So yeah, I know the back. We've read out one thing already, Jay. We've already read out one of the things. But then here's the next thing.
I mean, can you remember why you originally split up, actually? I think it was 19...
So there was Aussie on there. Let's go back. Yeah, so we'd read out one, and we were back and we'd read out the first one. And now some more have come through. So, was Jay still under the influence of drink and drugs? Ayubs asked what kind of state Jay was in when he went downstairs to move his car. Was he still under the influence, the coroner asked. I think, yeah, he would have been, Ayub replies. Ayub said Jay then told him he was going to catch a bus back to his apartment. And Ayub said, I said, no bus is coming anytime soon. It's not one of those places where the bus comes every 5 to 10 minutes. And he said, no, I spoke to that woman. She said the bus is coming in 10 minutes. I said, no, it don't, bro. God, goodness. Dr. Adley definitely would need an interpreter. No, it don't, bro. Chill out, G. I'll drop you off later. And if only he would have waited for Ayub to drop him off. But he wanted to go, didn't he? He wanted to go. He might have been having a panic attack or something. Just don't know. So anyway, these are apparently Ayub's final words to Jay Slater. I looked at him and I seen he was sweet. So it's like sound, innit? What could I have done? I'm not going to say stay here now. I just said if you need me, I'm here. I shut the door to go back upstairs to sleep. That's apparently the last thing he said to Jay. Let's read that again because it takes a bit of understanding. I looked at him and I seen he was sweet, so it's like sound, innit? What could I have done? I'm not going to say stay here now. I just said if you need me, I'm here. I shut the door to go back upstairs to sleep. Let's see how Lancashire Telegraph, they're a bit more, Lancashire Telegraph are much more, what's the word, concise, you know, more to it. Right, where did we get to? So the coroner said, you have gone to bed. You had gone to bed and Jay was on the sofa with a blanket. What happened next? Ayub says, I heard Jay moving around downstairs. I presumed he was having a smoke or something. I fell asleep, but not long after I woke up again to a buzzing sound downstairs like the door being buzzed. I was expecting it because I was parked in front of someone's car. I went downstairs. I saw Jay standing between the door and the dining table. And he said about the buzzer, saying the noise was doing his head in. I opened the door. There was an old woman and another guy with a wheelbarrow and an old man. They gestured to me to move my car. I went back upstairs and put on some clothes. The old man guided me to a space that was empty at the side of the road where I could park. As I was parking, I could see Jay chatting to them. I apologised to them. Jay was coming out as I was walking in. When you came downstairs, you'd given him a charger, the coroner said. Where was it plugged in? It was still in the kitchen where he'd originally plugged it in. And he said, do you think Jay had been asleep in the time from arriving at the house to when the doorbell went? And he said, no, I don't think so. He won't have been able to get sleep after all that he was taking. You say Jay told you what he'd heard earlier that evening in your statement. What had he what he'd taken? What had he taken? He didn't exactly tell me, but throughout the night he might have said I popped a pill or I had a bit of sniff. When you came down to see Jay, what sort of state is he in? Is he still under the influence? And Ayub says, yes, I think he would have been, but he was upright, he was coherent. And then the coroner says, you come back from parking the car. What is Jay doing at this time? And Ayub says, as I was walking in, he was walking out. He said he was off and he was going to catch a bus and go back to Los Cristianos. I told him there were no buses coming anytime soon. He says he's spoken to that woman and she says it comes every 10 minutes. I said, no, it doesn't. Or no, he don't, bro, he said, didn't he? Or something. After that, I said to chill out and I'd drop him off. But he said, no, the boys are waiting for me. I said, all right. I'd only slept an hour to this point and I wasn't really trying to have a conversation, not in a rude way. I'm not going to insist he stays. I said, if you need anything, I'm here. Then I shut the door and went back upstairs and went to sleep. So what do we all think of that, what he says? What does everybody think of that? You know, I'm just having a little look at the chat, but, you know, just don't know. Just don't know what to think, do you? So then the coroner says, in your statement, Jay says this lady told him, oh, I'm on the wrong one, told him a bus goes past the house every 10 minutes. You say no bus comes every 10 minutes. Did you offer to take him back? Yes, when I woke up later on, I would have taken him. Was there any altercation between you before he left? No altercation. And is there anything you think I should have asked you I don't think so. Now, the solicitor, the barrister, is going to ask him some questions. So hopefully this, oh God, is not very many because his evidence finishes soon. So the barrister says, you said in your evidence you did know Brandon and you said you describe yourselves as friends. In the statement Brandon gave, he said, I don't know Ayub, but I've seen him in a coffee shop in Tenerife. Which one is it? And Ayub said, I can't speak on what he's saying. If you add them both together and meet in the middle, we're cool. Oh God, Debbie's not going to get any answers, is she? I mean, you know, none of them can get their story straight. You know, and I don't know how much of it is to do with being guilty of something or how much is to just do with drugs addling your brain and you can't think straight. Yeah, I think none of them would have a clue what happened that night. Did you know him before that week? Yes. How long had you known him? A couple of months maybe, but I knew his brother before that. We heard earlier about you being referred to as Johnny Vegas. On the morning, Jay made a call to a Spanish number lasting around 19 seconds. Do you know anything about that call? And Ayub says, I'm not sure if he rang me or not, but I did have a Spanish number at the time. He could have called me, but I don't recall chatting to him. The only chat I remember having is Brandon ringing me and saying Jay's gone missing. And the barrister says the time of the call was before this. And Ayub says it could have been another call asking where we were, but I don't remember. Doesn't remember. So do you think he really doesn't remember or is he just blagging it? Well, anyway, I mean, surely as far as the phone calls are concerned, they can check that on phone data. And that brings Ayub Kazim's evidence to an end. Now, I've got to say, I'm really surprised at that. I thought the solicitor was going to ask more questions than that. You know, that wasn't, he didn't really ask much, did he? So we're going to hear from Lucy. Ah, there's Lucy. She's on the call. So for those of you who don't know what Lucy looks like, I'm going to put a picture of Lucy up. Don't you think that wasn't a very long sort of questioning of Ayub from the solicitor? So that was Ayub that we just heard from. Now we're going to hear from Lucy, and she's on video link because of her condition. But we don't know what her condition is. Ayub is on video link because he's in another country, but we don't know what country he's in. I mean, there's no transparency in Britain at all, is there? You know, why would those things be a secret anyway? If Ayub's in a different country, why is it a secret which country he's in? So the coroner asked Lucy, how long have you known Jay? Not exactly, but roughly since the start of secondary school. So they've known each other a long time, haven't they? I believe you flew out with Jay to Tenerife, yes. And you were both proposing to attend the Energy Festival, yes. As I understand, the coroner said, Brandon was already out there. You were staying with yourself. And Jay and BG are staying together. It does seem odd that she was staying alone, doesn't it? Doesn't it? As you know, just seems odd. But maybe, you know, I don't know. Honestly, I'm losing the will to live now a little bit. So just going back to the other one and finishing off Ayub's testimony. Ayub is quizzed on his nickname and his friendship with Brandon Hodgson. Ayub says he was friends with Brandon while in a statement to Spanish police. Brandon claimed he didn't know Ayub. God, none of these know. They wouldn't know the truth if it slapped him across the face, would they? Which is true, asked Lois Norris, the barrister representing Jay's family. If you put both together and meet in the middle. You know, we're cool sort of thing. I've known his brother for a longer time. And Ayub also confirmed that one of his nicknames is Johnny Vegas. I've got lots of nicknames, he says. It's a mad world, isn't it? I mean, the whole situation, the whole world that they live in, that Jay unfortunately sort of got embroiled in. And my heart just breaks for Debbie having to listen to all this. Because if I was listening to this and it was my son, I'd just be heartbroken because you can't get to the bottom of anything. Ayub has now finished giving evidence, and Lucy, Jay's friend who was with him in Tenerife, is giving evidence via video link because of her condition that we don't know what it is.